Thanks a lot for coming in.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Something about this community appeals to you?
This is a wonderful place to live.
For Kelowna Now, this is Camp Mulgat. And we're joined by Malindi Elmore, fresh off a performance in Houston where you set a new record for a Canadian woman in the marathon. Wow. How did that feel?
Surreal, really. I mean, it's still kind of setting in, but yeah, it's pretty cool to have a Canadian record after all these years.
And what that means, I understand you had to actually miss the Olympic trial, but it sounds like there's enough common sense in your sport that they don't say, well, she didn't make the Olympic trial, she can't compete. They'll look at something like this, and now you look like a shoo-in.
Well, I don't know about that, and I honestly don't even know if there's a lot of common sense always. But the way the criteria is written to qualify for the marathon, not for other events within track and field, is the winner at the Olympic trials in Toronto in October is guaranteed their spot, and then they've got 2 more spots that they can fill by the end of May based on a sort of a convoluted criteria. So I'm in the running for that.
Right.
Those other 2 spots.
Maybe more than in the running.
I hope so.
Right. So your story is so fascinating on so many levels because you were Malindi Elmore, the 1,500 meter specialist, which hardly resembles a marathon. Right?
Well, it's running.
Right. I guess there's some good body mechanics
Yeah.
there, but so different. And you had actually, after an Olympic appearance in 2004, had quit competitive running.
Well, I didn't quit until 2012. So I
Right.
continued on, and I tried to make the 2008 and the 2012 Olympics.
Right.
Came really close on both of those, and then my heart was a little battered. So I took a step away, but I mean, I had some amazing experiences by being a track and field athlete for so many years.
Right. But in 2012, that was it, though, right? We were thinking that you wouldn't be competitive again.
Yep.
But you started getting into long-distance running more just because you were a runner and you wanted to do it?
Well, I made a switch over to triathlon for a few years and really enjoyed that sport. And then after I had my second baby last year, I decided I didn't have time for swimming and biking, and I'd just focus on what I really love to do. And, you know, it was just running kind of to get back into shape and with friends. And one day my husband and I were going for a trail run, and I just threw out the idea like, oh, I should do a marathon as a new goal. And he leapt on it. It was September last year, and we came home and he looked up the calendar of races and he's like, Houston, that's a good target for you. And it was 4 months later, and he wrote me a training plan, and I went to Houston a year ago and ran a really fast time for a debut, and I was like, I guess I'm a runner again.
Okay, here you are, you're in your late 30s, having your second kid. Hey, let's try a marathon. And then you're setting the Canadian record. How does that happen?
Well, I didn't set the Canadian record in my first attempt.
No, but you just did. And
Yeah.
all that happened in a couple of years.
In a year, yeah.
You went from let's try a marathon to running it faster than anyone else.
Yeah.
I guess maybe what's similar between what you're doing now and how you excelled at 1,500 meters is a mindset.
I think it's a similar mindset. It's really process oriented. So we go through the steps of what do I need to do to prepare to be my best. And if that brings the results that it's brought, then that's fantastic. But it's not unlike how many people would prepare for something if they put it, you know, if they commit to the plan and they commit to the process, and you do the training and you do your best in the training. And I'm lucky because I am a natural runner. I've been doing this my whole life, and it clicked well.
Right.
But it's, you know, it's still like doing the runs, it's doing the workouts, it's doing the recovery, it's doing the sleeping and the nutrition and all those little things that help
Yeah.
me become a good athlete.
And it when you look back on it, maybe the path you took was kind of perfect in that you got into the triathlons, which doesn't put all of the emphasis on running. So you can work on your cardiovascular and your endurance without pounding away on all it takes to be a good runner.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. I don't think I would be where I am now without having had that break, even psychologically, from the intensity of running, and mixing it up, and becoming a better athlete through working on swimming and biking and getting that aerobic base through hours. You know, I'd train 16 to 20 hours a week aerobically for triathlon, but only maybe 2 of them were running, or 3, because that was my natural strength, and so we had to work on my weakness. But it totally saved the the muscle joint tendon kind of things, and then
Right.
also kept me fresh psychologically that this is a new challenge, this is fun again. I haven't just been doing this one sport for 25 years straight.
Right. So do you think that gives you an edge, that since you've been a triathlete, that you can work that into your training maybe over other people who have been focused marathoners for a long time?
Yeah, I think so, at least for me. I mean, it may not work for everybody, but it's been a really good path for me, and even just psychologically, I mentioned this, but and now I think of a marathon as, it's just a marathon. I didn't have to swim 4K and bike 180 kilometers first. I could just start fresh. I'm not depleted. I'm not dehydrated. My hip flexors aren't screaming at me. Like, I feel pretty good.
Yeah, it seemed like when I was a little kid looking at people running marathons, you'd wonder if they're going to drop dead at the end, because that seemed like the ultimate. But the way we train people nowadays, they seem to finish a marathon and they walk over and do a TV interview like they're completely...
Oh, we've learned a ton in science over the years of how to actually train for these races and how to fuel for them and how to pace them and all those little things. Yeah.
And my understanding is it does get pretty scientific. If you decided that you were just going to train harder than everybody else, that might not be the winning philosophy, because you need to train the right amount, right? You can overtrain.
Well, yeah, it's just about being smart. And actually there's this whole idea now that most people don't overtrain, they under recover. So you have to look after...
Trying to wrap my head around that.
So you can train a lot, you just need to recover from the training. You need to eat properly, you need to sleep properly, you need to load yourself properly, you need to, you need to not go hard every single day, but you can train hard. You just can't keep piling it on without giving yourself a chance to get the recovery, because training is all about a stress and a recovery.
Right.
And if you stress, and you don't recover, then you may be overtraining. But a lot of people, it's not the overtraining. It's the not sleeping enough or eating enough or those sorts of things in between.
Right.
It's sort of a nuance.
So it's also super helpful and convenient to have a spouse, Graham Hood, who's also a two-time Olympian, who really speaks the language and understands sports and preparation.
Yeah, he just came on helping me. Well, he's been helping me ever since I met him, which was actually in 2004. So we've been together a long time and always been like my biggest supporter. And he hasn't coached me directly over the years, but always been a key part of the process. And he's been writing my plan now, but we have amazing resources. My coach, growing up from Kelowna, from high school all the way through when I retired in 2012, is still a really key part of the team. And then we also have Trent Stellingworth, who's a physiologist who works with the Canadian Sport Institute in Victoria, helping us with a lot of the science and tweaking things. So I feel really fortunate. I think I have kind of a world-class team.
Right. I was just looking through your Instagram there before the interview, and I just love that photo of you and a friend, Tara, I think her name is.
Oh, yeah.
There she is in the Rutland Voodoos jersey, and you've got your Kelowna Owls one on, and it looks like you're running around the Apple Bowl.
Yeah.
So it is so neat to think that something like what you are pursuing just starts right here over at the Apple Bowl.
Oh yeah, totally, 100%. I mean, Natasha Wodak, who broke the Canadian record in the half marathon yesterday as well. She and I have been racing for 25 years against each other through the BC sports system, and it's a sport that definitely rewards patience and long-term commitment. But I'm involved right now with coaching the Okanagan Athletics Club, and I have a great, amazing group of high school kids, and I know that their stories start now, and even if they don't become runners, I'm hoping they'll be active for life, or they'll be runners for life, even if they don't make the Olympics. That's not going to be for everyone, obviously.
Right.
But it's just so great to get into sport as a kid, and to pursue it for a long time.
It seemed, I saw you interviewed earlier, and you seemed quite content, becoming a person coaching runners, and not so concerned anymore about your personal exploits in sport. But now here you are again, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do now between now and assuming you're going to Tokyo? How do you make sure that you time your training so that you're at your optimum?
Well, as somebody reminded me this morning, my team, but as well as other people, that recovery from this is really important. So I will take a couple weeks off of running. I'm going to go skiing this weekend. I bought some ski boots last week that I've just been waiting to break out.
Oh my God! Don't hurt yourself.
I know. That's what my husband says, and I said, "Oh, I'll just ride the plaza chair with Charlie, my 5-year-old." And he's like, "That's the worst place to go because that's where nobody knows how to ski." But I grew up skiing, right? I've been skiing big white since I was 4 or 5. I'm very comfortable
seriously,
on
you're going to
skis.
take a couple of weeks off, like you're not going to run.
I will probably run a little bit because as you get older, sometimes if you don't keep running, then you can get injuries.
But easy.
Oh yeah, like 20 minutes every couple days.
Okay.
Which, normally I run like 2 hours every day, so 20 minutes is kind of like being off.
See, this is part of the science I was referring to. I'm sure back in the old days, someone might have just said, "Okay, you're probably going to the Olympics, so start doubling it up."
Yeah, no. You gotta. This will take an impact on my body physiologically and bone skeleton, all that kind of thing. So we'll back off. Rule of thumb is like a day per mile that you race. So it could take, as much as a month to be truly recovered. I'll feel okay before then, but to be, back to optimal kind of fitness or health.
Right.
Maybe not fitness.
And so will you run a lot of marathons between now?
Oh gosh, no. I won't run another one.
You won't until
Tokyo, no.
Until Tokyo.
No.
So what would be your longest run that you would do?
I mean, I'll train.
Right.
But in terms of racing, we need to figure out the schedule,
Right.
but I'll probably drop down in distance through the spring and do some road racing, some shorter road races like 10K and a half marathon, maybe a track race.
But would you likely train, do a 26-mile run in training? Would you run that? Would you train that distance?
Rarely.
Rarely.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So a training program for the marathon, you kind of start a build about 10 or 12 weeks out before your key race.
Okay.
And you might hit some long runs that are maybe in the 40K range, but generally not, for me at least, not over the marathon distance. But the key is getting a good, significant portion of that at marathon pace.
Right. Okay. So if people around Kelowna see you out running between now and then, should they honk their horn in encouragement, or does that throw you off?
A wave is great.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're all pulling for you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very
Malindi Elmore,
much.
and thanks for watching Kelowna Now.